Most of us will spend our final waking hours tonight in a state of hypervigilance, staring into a blue light that keeps our thumbs moving. While the architects of Silicon Valley encourage the public to stay plugged in and learn the languages of the digital economy, they often set a different parental scorecard for their own children. In these circles, the value is placed on high-speed connection, not to the internet, but to history, philosophy, and critical reading. Steve Jobs was the face of this global digital shift, yet he famously admitted his own children didn't use the iPad. His biographer noted that at dinner, the family didn't scroll. They discussed art and history, effectively shielding the next generation from the very products he sold to the world. This educational divide creates two distinct groups: those who are trained to navigate complex systems and those who are trained to consume them. By monopolizing deep thought and historical context, the elite ensured they remain the ones designing the chessboard, rather than the pieces being moved across it. When we look at the scale of digital addiction today, we are seeing the exact result of this engineered social imbalance. It is a system designed to harvest human attention and trade it for profit, leaving the user with less time to develop cognitive sovereignty. This engineered distraction works because it exploits a vulnerability in how we process our inner lives, specifically, a massive deficit in our emotional vocabulary. Sociologist Dr. Brené Brown spent 15 years researching how we identify our feelings. While her research maps out 87 distinct human emotions, her data shows that the average person struggles to articulate even a fraction of them. Most people can only accurately identify 3 buckets for their experiences: happy, sad, and pissed off. Lacking the language for grief or anxiety, our brains collapse that complexity into a high-energy response. Complex pain is almost always miscategorized as anger. Because anger is a reactive, physiological state, it is highly predictable. By narrowing our emotional range to simple outrage, the systems around us find it much easier to trigger our responses and steer our behavior. The digital matrix is perfectly calibrated to capitalize on a population that defaults to this simplified outrage. Nuance and paradox are bad for business. When a user encounters information that causes cognitive dissonance, they feel a momentary discomfort that often leads them to log off. To keep users engaged and generating ad revenue, platforms must remove that friction. The algorithm solves this by building an ideological bunker around you. It filters out complexity and feeds you a stream of confirmation bias, ensuring you stay in a state of high arousal agreement with your own side. If you find yourself feeling perpetually agitated while using these apps, the system is succeeding. It has successfully traded your peace of mind for a few more minutes of harvested attention. An emotionally dysregulated user is a profitable one. By surrendering to the algorithm's feedback loop, we effectively give up our agency to a code that values engagement over truth. This strategy extends beyond smartphone apps. Political systems use this exact same framework of simplified anger to maintain their own authority. In systems theory, this is known as power over. It operates on the belief that power is a finite resource, like a pizza, and if one group gets a slice, the leader has a deficit. This makes hoarding and protecting power the primary goal. To maintain this control, leaders leverage fear. They point to an identifiable enemy and blame them for the public's pain, providing a simple target for the anger that stems from a lack of systems-level understanding. Within a power-over framework, maintaining that fear requires periodic demonstrations of force. Displays of cruelty against vulnerable populations serve as a psychological reset, a visible reminder to the masses of what the state is capable of doing to those who fall outside of its protection. By keeping the population hyper-focused on an external threat, the elite ensure that the public never looks closely at the structures that keep them scared and compliant. Breaking out of this psychological matrix requires a total shift in how we view strength. We are often taught that toughness means putting on armor and shutting down our emotions. But a study of elite military operators at Fort Bragg revealed a paradox that challenges our civilian concept of bravery. These soldiers, who operate in the most high-risk environments on Earth, were asked to provide a single example of courage that did not require vulnerability. They couldn't. Their conclusion was clear. There is no courage without uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. The armor we put on, the anger, the ideological bunkers, the refusal to feel, is actually a survival mechanism that has outlived its usefulness. In the modern world, this armor doesn't protect us, it isolates us. By refusing to be vulnerable, we remain in a state of hyper-vigilant fear. This is exactly where the thinking class wants us, disconnected from each other and easy to manage. In an age of automated attention, reclaiming your emotional sovereignty becomes an act of defiance. This requires tactical effort, expanding your vocabulary to name your pain, choosing to take off your emotional armor, and learning to sit with the discomfort of nuance and paradox. Guard your attention with the same intensity that others use to harvest it. If you do not do the difficult work of thinking for yourself, the elite will gladly do the thinking for you.